Good morning, everybody. I have learned so much over the last 2 terms from the ELT devotions that have come to you every week. I've really enjoyed seeing and hearing and learning the same things that you have been working through as they've been presented to you from the various leaders from across our college. What a rich presentation of the various concepts that you've had to discuss. I hope you've gotten as much from it as I have. I'm here today to speak to you about one of the dispositions from our Powerful Learning Framework. I'm talking to you about communication. We seek to grow students who are able to communicate effectively. And there are so many different ways that takes place. Verbally, in written form, and there are different manifestations of that in those different modes. But so much of that comes down to not just saying what you need to say. So much of that needs to come down to thinking about who your audience is and respecting them and considering them. And you can't do that without listening to them. That's another one of our dispositions. And so this is one of those dispositions that overlaps in so many different ways. But I actually want to unpack with you, what does communication do? Communication is that method through which we express ourselves, we make ourselves understood, and we understand others. Okay, so we're expressing ourselves, we're making ourselves understood, and we're understanding other people. There's this sense to which it's a two-way street and needs to be a two-way street if it's going to be done effectively. But then you've got to ask the question, well, why do we need to do these things? We need to do these things so that we are building relationship with the people around us, so that we are building community with the people around us, so that we understand how to help the people on our left and on our right, help the people within our family, within our community, so that we can grow. All of these different things going on. That's why we need to be effective communicators. I then have to start thinking about, well, how does God communicate with us? And I consider the circumstances of my life, and I think about how God has communicated with me. And I remember times where He has been honest and gentle at the same time. But that honesty that God has shared with me has actually been quite confronting. Where I've gone on a journey with God and I've had to learn about the things that I'm not quite doing right, the things that I could do better, the way I'm thinking about other people and the way I'm treating other people. And as I honestly go through that journey of trying to understand that and get better at that, and as I allow God to speak to me, He's been honest. And sometimes that honesty has been brutal. But it's also gentle and it's caring. It's purposeful and it's full of grace. He's tough when He needs to be. But I know that He loves me. 100%. I know that He loves me. And I want to go through a couple of different concepts with you today. The number one way that God communicates with us is through His Son, Jesus Christ. For hundreds of years, thousands of years, God communicated to His people through the spoken and written word, the direction of different prophets and all of those kinds of things, and letters and scripture being written and poetry and all manner of things, from histories through to narrative, through to parables, through to proverbs. The whole thing was going on. But then eventually the ultimate form of God communicating with us as humanity came through His Son, Jesus Christ. During His time on earth, Jesus demonstrated both verbally and non-verbally His communication as God intends it to be. It was full of grace and it was full of truth. He listened carefully to what people were saying. He asked great questions. He taught in parables and stories. He showed how truth was revealed in both mystery and simplicity. He reached out His hand to heal people. He met people's needs. He showed compassion in ways that were just impossible just by using words alone. There was actual action that backed up what He was saying. There are stories of him weeping over the death of his friends, showing emotion and showing how much he valued other people and his relationships. He spent time with people. He spent time with people that were on the edge of society and on the edge of what everybody else might be doing and thinking. And he emphasized that relationship with him and that grace and that truth that I mentioned before, that's for everybody. He didn't let people go hungry. He met their needs. There are stories about him bending down and washing his disciples' feet, serving and loving and blessing them. And then, most significantly, he willingly went to the cross. And that communicates to me and to you how much he values you and how much he loves you. And then beyond that, he rose from the dead. And that communicates an eternal truth once more and a hope for both you and me, that as we live together in this broken world and as we communicate with each other as a two-way street, there is hope and example and joy and a future. My hope and prayer for you this week and for every week beyond is that you find that joy in communicating with God, in understanding how much he loves you, and that you find joy also in communicating with everybody else around you. It's been an amazing term. We've unpacked so much. We've learned so much together. I pray you have an amazing break, and I can't wait to see you next term and to continue the journey with you. God bless.